You pride yourself on working 12 hours a day. You are exhausted, and you believe that is a sign of dedication. But the brutal truth is, you are not effective. You are simply busy. 80% of what you do every day is completely meaningless and creates zero forward momentum for your future. If you do not learn to ruthlessly decline garbage tasks, you will spend your entire life as a highly efficient, empty machine. You wake up already tired, not because your body needs rest, but because your mind never really stopped. The first thing you do isn't stretch or think or plan. You reach for your phone, just to check something small, a notification, a message, maybe the time, and somehow 10 minutes disappear before your day even begins. By the time you sit down to do something that actually matters, your brain already feels drained, not from effort, but from reaction. You've been pulled in different directions before you even chose a direction for yourself. You open your laptop. There are tabs everywhere. YouTube, Discord, email, maybe something that looks productive enough to justify your time. And you tell yourself you're getting things done, but you know you're not. You've felt this before. You sit down with the intention to improve. Maybe you want to learn something new. Maybe you want to build something real. You start a video or open a course, and for a few minutes, it feels like progress. Then your focus slips. You check your phone for a second, just 1 second. And that's all it takes. One notification turns into another video. One video turns into 5. And before you realize it, an hour is gone. You didn't practice anything. You didn't create anything. You just consumed. And somehow you feel exhausted. That's the strange part. You can be tired without doing anything meaningful. At the end of the day, it feels like you've been busy the entire time. You move from one thing to another, responded to messages, watched content, maybe even checked off a few small tasks. But nothing actually moved your life forward. No real progress, no real skill, no real momentum, just activity. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat down and focused on one thing for 2 straight hours without touching your phone? No switching, no distractions, no background noise pulling at your attention, just pure focus. Most people can't answer that. Not because they're lazy, but because their attention has been trained to break. Constantly, quietly, every single day. You're not behind in life. You're just scattered. This isn't about motivation. It's not even about discipline in the way you've been told. It's about attention, where it goes, how easily it gets pulled away, and how little control you actually have over it right now. And if you don't fix that, you'll keep confusing movement with progress. You'll keep filling your days with noise and calling it productivity. And this is where it becomes dangerous, because you can live like this for years, feeling busy, feeling tired, feel like you're trying while building absolutely nothing that lasts. And in the next part, you're going to see why your brain keeps pulling you into this loop and why working harder isn't solving the problem. Here's where most people get it wrong. They think the solution is simple. Work harder, stay disciplined, try to do more. But that's not the real problem. The real problem is that your brain has been trained to choose the wrong kind of work, not the hard work that builds your future, the easy work that gives you the feeling of progress without the actual result. And it's happening automatically. Your brain is not designed to chase meaning. It's designed to chase reward. And in today's world, reward is everywhere. Every notification, every scroll, every quick task gives you a small hit of dopamine, just enough to feel like you're doing something, just enough to keep you going, but not enough to actually move your life forward. So what happens? You start prioritizing tasks that feel good over tasks that matter. Replying to messages feels productive. Organizing your workspace feels productive. Watching videos about success feels productive. But none of those things create real progress. They just create the illusion of it, and your brain learns fast. It starts associating easy tasks with reward and hard tasks with discomfort. So when you sit down to do something that actually matters, something that requires focus, patience, and effort, your brain resists. Not because you're lazy, because it's been conditioned. This is called decision fatigue. Every time you switch tasks, check your phone, or react to something, your brain spends energy making small decisions. And the more decisions you make, the weaker your ability to choose the hard path becomes. By the time you finally sit down to do real work, your brain is already tired. So it defaults to what's easy. Think about your day. How many times do you switch between apps, tabs, conversations, and tasks? How many times do you interrupt yourself without even realizing it? Each switch feels small, but the cost is massive because every time you switch, your brain has to reset. It has to refocus. It has to rebuild context. And most of the time, it never fully does. So instead of deep, meaningful work, your day becomes a series of shallow actions, quick responses, short bursts, constant interruptions. It feels like movement, but it's not progress. Let me ask you something. Are you actually building something, or are you just reacting all day? Because there's a difference. Building requires focus, time, silence, discomfort. Reacting requires none of that, just attention. And your attention is constantly being taken. And this is where it becomes dangerous. Because the more you live like this, the more your brain adapts to it. Your attention span shrinks. Your tolerance for deep work drops. Your need for stimulation increases. Until eventually, sitting down and focusing feels almost impossible. Not because you can't, but because you haven't trained yourself to. And now you're stuck in a loop. You avoid hard work because it feels uncomfortable. You choose easy tasks because they feel good. You feel busy, so you think you're being productive. But nothing meaningful gets built, and the next day it repeats. Most people never see this. They think they need more motivation. They think they need better time management. They think they need to try harder. But trying harder inside a broken system doesn't fix anything. It just makes you more exhausted. The problem isn't your effort. It's where your effort is going. And once you see that clearly, you can't unsee it. There's a pattern you start to notice when you study people who operate at a high level. It's not that they work more hours. It's not that they try to do everything. It's that they are extremely selective about what they allow into their attention. Take Steve Jobs as an example. People often talk about his creativity, his vision, his ability to build products that change the world. But what most people ignore is how aggressively he eliminated things. He didn't just focus on what to do. He focused on what not to do. At one point, Apple was working on dozens of different product ideas. When Jobs returned, he cut almost all of them. Not gradually, not carefully. He removed them with almost no hesitation. He reduced the company down to a few core products. That decision didn't make Apple smaller. It made Apple sharper. Now think about that for a second. Most people believe success comes from adding more. More effort, more tasks, more opportunities. But at the highest level, success comes from removal, from cutting everything that doesn't directly contribute to what matters. You see the same pattern in people like Elon Musk. His schedule isn't filled with random tasks. It's structured around a small number of high-impact decisions, engineering problems, product direction, critical bottlenecks. He doesn't waste time deciding what to eat every day. He doesn't spend hours reacting to low-value input because every unnecessary decision costs energy. And that energy is reserved for things that actually move the system forward. This is the part most people don't want to accept. High performers are not better because they do more. They're better because they ignore more. And it applies directly to your life. Right now, your day is probably filled with things that feel important but aren't. Checking messages, scrolling for information, watching content that feels useful. It all creates the sense that you're engaged. But engagement is not the same as progress. Let's bring it down to something simple. Imagine two people. One spends 10 hours a day doing a little bit of everything, answering messages, watching tutorials, switching between tasks, staying busy the entire time. The other spends 3 hours doing one thing that actually matters. No distractions, no switching, just focused execution. At the end of the week, who moves further? It's not even close. This is where the 80-20 principle becomes real. A small percentage of what you do creates the majority of your results. The rest is noise. Not harmless noise, expensive noise, because it consumes your time, your energy, and your attention while giving almost nothing back. And here's the uncomfortable question. If 80% of what you do doesn't really matter, why are you still doing it? Most people never ask that. They just keep going, adding more, filling their day, staying busy, because being busy feels safe. It feels like progress. It protects you from the discomfort of doing something hard and uncertain. But the people who actually move forward don't hide in that. They make a different decision. They simplify. They cut. They remove anything that doesn't directly contribute to where they want to go. And that's not easy, because it forces you to confront something most people avoid. That a large part of your daily activity is unnecessary. But once you see it, everything changes. You stop trying to manage your time better. You start managing your focus. You stop asking, what else can I do today? You start asking, what can I remove so I can finally do what matters? And that shift is what separates people who stay busy from people who actually build something real. In the next part, you're going to see the system that keeps you stuck in fake busyness every single day, even when you know better. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, I get it. I'm distracted. I'm doing too many low-value things. But here's the real question. Why does it keep happening even when you know it's a problem? Because you're not just dealing with bad habits. You're inside a system, a loop that runs automatically, whether you're aware of it or not. It usually starts very quietly. You sit down to work. There's something you know you should do, something important, something that actually moves your life forward. And almost instantly, you feel resistance. Not pain, not fear, just a subtle discomfort. That's the trigger. Your brain doesn't like that feeling, so it looks for relief. Something easier, something familiar, something that gives you a quick sense of control. That's the craving. So what do? You check your phone. You open another tab. You tell yourself you're just going to quickly look something up. That's the response. And then comes the reward. A small hit of relief. A distraction. A feeling that you're still being active, still doing something, still moving, even if you're not. And your brain registers that. It learns. Next time you feel discomfort, do this again. So the loop repeats. Again and again. Every day. Let me paint a simple scene. You sit down to work on something that actually matters. Maybe it's studying, building a skill, working on a project. 5 minutes in, it starts to feel heavy. Your focus drops. Your mind looks for an exit. You pick up your phone without even thinking. You scroll for a bit. Then you go back to your work. But now your focus is weaker. So the task feels even harder. So you escape again. And now you're stuck, not because you can't focus, but because you keep training yourself not to. This is what most people never realize. Distraction isn't random. It's conditioned. Every time you choose the easy escape, you reinforce the pattern. You make it more automatic, more immediate, more powerful. Over time, something changes. Your tolerance for deep work drops. Tasks that require focus start to feel overwhelming, even when they're not. Silence feels uncomfortable. Stillness feels boring. You need constant input just to feel normal. And this is where it becomes dangerous. Because now, even when you want to focus, your brain resists it. Not because it's broken, because it's been trained to expect stimulation. Let me ask you something. When you try to focus, do you feel the urge to check something even when you know there's nothing important waiting? That's not random. That's conditioning. Your environment is designed to feed this loop. Apps are built to capture your attention. Notifications are designed to interrupt you. Content is optimized to keep you watching, scrolling, reacting. So you're not just fighting yourself. You're fighting a system that is constantly pulling you back into shallow behavior. And if you don't become aware of this loop, it will run your life on autopilot. You'll keep reacting instead of creating. You'll keep consuming instead of building. You'll keep feeling busy without ever becoming effective. And the worst part is, it feels normal. Everyone around you is doing the same thing. So it doesn't even look like a problem. But it is. Because this loop quietly steals your time, your focus, and your ability to do meaningful work. Day after day. Week after week. Year after year. So the question is not whether you're capable of focus. You are. The real question is this. Are you willing to break the loop that's been running your life without your permission? Because in the next part, you're going to have to decide something. Not what you understand, but whether you're actually ready to change how you operate. Let's pause for a second. Be honest with yourself. Are you just listening to this, or are you actually going to change something after this video ends? Because this is the point where most people disconnect. They understand the problem. It makes sense. It even feels uncomfortable. But then they do nothing. They go back to the same patterns, the same distractions, the same loop, and a week later, nothing has changed. So decide right now. Are you here for entertainment or execution? If you're still here, then we fix the system. Not with motivation, with structure. The first thing you need is awareness, not vague awareness. Brutal clarity. For one day, just one, track how you actually spend your time. Not what you think you do, what you actually do. How long you spend on your phone. How often you switch tasks. How much time goes into things that don't move your life forward? Most people never do this because they already know what they'll find. A lot of movement. Very little progress. Once you see it clearly, the next step becomes obvious. You identify your 20%, the small number of actions that actually matter. Not 10 things, not 5, 1 or 2. That's it. The things that, if you did them consistently, would change your life over time. It could be learning a skill, building something, training your body, studying with real focus. Whatever it is, it has to be real, not preparation, not research, execution. Now comes the part most people avoid. You create a not-to-do list, not a to-do list, a not-to-do list. You decide in advance what you are no longer going to give your attention to. Scrolling without purpose, checking notifications every few minutes, switching tasks the moment something feels difficult, consuming content that makes you feel productive without actually producing anything. This is important because willpower is unreliable. If you rely on discipline alone, you will lose. You don't rise to your intentions. You fall to your environment. So you remove the triggers. You make distraction harder. You make focus easier. Now you create space for real work. And this is where most people struggle. Because when you finally sit down to focus, it feels uncomfortable. Your brain wants stimulation. It wants escape. That's normal. So don't aim for perfection. Start with one focus block. 60 to 90 minutes. No phone in your hand. No switching tabs. No background noise pulling your attention away. Just one task, one direction. At first, it will feel slow. Your mind will wander. You'll feel the urge to check something. Don't fight it aggressively. Just notice it and come back. Again and again. That's how you rebuild focus. Over time, something changes. The task that used to feel heavy becomes easier. Your mind becomes quieter. You start going deeper instead of jumping around. And for the first time in a long time, you actually feel progress. Not fake progress. Real progress. There's one more piece most people miss. You reduce unnecessary decisions. Every small choice you make during the day drains your mental energy. What to eat, what to wear, what to do next. Individually, they seem small, but together, they exhaust your brain. So simplify. Create routines. Eat similar meals. Structure your day in a predictable way. Not to make life boring, but to protect your mental energy for what actually matters. And finally, you follow one simple rule. Every day, you win once, not 10 small wins. One real win. One action that moves your life forward in a meaningful way. That's enough, because one real step, repeated daily, compounds, while 100 small, meaningless tasks disappear. Let me ask you something. What is the one thing you could do today that would actually matter a year from now? And why aren't you doing it? That's where your answer is. And that's where your focus needs to go. Now slow down for a moment. No more systems. No more tactics. Just look at your life as it is right now. You say you're tired. But are you actually tired or just overstimulated? Because there's a difference. Real fatigue comes from effort. What most people feel today comes from constant switching, constant input, constant noise. Your brain isn't exhausted from building something. It's exhausted from never getting a break. Look at your last 7 days. Not what you planned to do, not what you intended to do, what you actually did. How much of that time went into something that will still matter a year from now? Be honest. If someone removed your distractions for 1 week, would your life look different? Or would you still find ways to avoid the work that matters? This is where it gets uncomfortable, because it's easy to blame your phone. It's easy to blame social media. It's easy to say the system is designed against you. And that's true, but it's not the full truth. At some point, you have to ask yourself a harder question. Are you using distraction, or are you hiding inside it? Because deep work is not just hard, it's exposing. It forces you to see where you actually are, your real skill level, your real discipline, your real consistency. And most people would rather stay busy than face that. So they fill their time. They stay active. They stay distracted. Not because they can't do better, but because staying busy protects them from feeling behind. Think about your future for a second. 6 months from now. If nothing changes, what does your life look like? Same habits, same distractions, same excuses. Do you move forward, or do you stay exactly where you are? Now flip it. What if you focus for real? Not perfectly, just consistently. One meaningful action per day. Cutting the noise. Protecting your attention. What would that look like after 6 months? That gap you're imagining right now, that's the cost of distraction. So ask yourself one final thing. Are you actually doing hard things, or are you replacing them with easy things that feel productive? Because your life is not shaped by what you plan. It's shaped by what you repeat. Every day, quietly, and whether you realize it or not, you are already building a future. The only question is it the one you actually want? Here's something you need to understand. None of this is accidental. The way you spend your time, the way your attention gets pulled, the way you feel busy but not effective is not random. It's engineered. Every app you use is designed to keep you engaged, not focused. Engaged. There's a difference. Focus builds something. Engagement keeps you consuming. And the longer you stay in that state, the more valuable you become to those systems. Not as a creator, as a user, as attention, as time. So if you don't take control where your attention goes, something else will, and it will do it very efficiently. This is why so many people feel stuck. Not because they lack potential, but because their attention is constantly being redirected before it can compound into anything meaningful. Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into months. And nothing really changes. Not because they didn't try, but because their effort was scattered. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If nothing changes now, nothing changes later. You don't suddenly become focused. You don't suddenly become disciplined. You don't suddenly build something meaningful. You repeat what you're already doing, just for longer. So the question is simple. Not what you understand, not what you agree with, but what you're going to do next. Because at this point, you already know enough. You've seen the pattern. You've felt the cost. Now it comes down to a decision. Stay where you are, or take control of how you live. At some point, you have to stop explaining your situation and start taking control of it. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. Because everything you've seen so far leads to one thing. A choice. You can keep living like this. Waking up tired. Jumping between distractions. Filling your day with things that feel productive but lead nowhere. Telling yourself you'll focus later. And slowly watching time pass without building anything real. Or you can do something different, not extreme, not complicated, just intentional. You start protecting your attention. You stop giving it away so easily. You become more selective about what you allow into your day, what you watch, what you respond to, what you spend your time on. You stop trying to do everything. And you focus on what actually matters, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's slow, even when it doesn't feel rewarding at first, because that's where real progress is, not in constant stimulation, not in easy wins, but in focused effort that compounds over time. Discipline, in this case, is not about forcing yourself to work harder. It's about removing everything that makes you weaker. Everything that fragments your attention. Everything that pulls you away from what you know you should be doing. And once you start doing that, something changes. You think more clearly. You move with intention. You stop reacting to everything around you. And you start building something that actually belongs to you. This is not about becoming perfect. You will still get distracted. You will still have days where your focus slips. That's normal. What matters is that you stop living on autopilot. You stop letting your environment decide how you spend your life. You take that control back. Because no one is going to do it for you. No app will fix it. No video will magically change it. Only your actions will. So here's the decision. Not a big one. Not a dramatic one. A simple one. What is the one thing that actually matters for your future that you've been avoiding? And are you going to do it today, or are you going to keep replacing it with something easier? That answer is everything. Because at the end of the day, Your life is not defined by what you intend to do. It's defined by what you actually do, repeatedly, with focus, or without it. If you're serious about taking control of your attention and actually building something real, then stay in this environment. Subscribe, not for motivation, but for structure, because the difference isn't in what you know. It's in what you consistently do.